Hi you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back to another December daily process video. In this video, I'll be working on days 9 through 11. And of course, there'll probably be a little bit of overlap in the end of 7 and 8 as well, because I worked on it at the same time. So right now, what I'm decided to do is I have this large photo of my daughter that I want to do for day 10, actually, is what I'm working on right now. And I decided to do a one of those transparency overlays. This came from the Ali Edwards kit. And what I did is I printed out in Photoshop my journaling in a circle. And then I backed it onto this Let It Shine element. And now I'm just splitting it in between the transparency paper. So I put one on top and one on the bottom. And I really like the way that worked together. I think it's a fun little thing. Through this whole process, I've been trying to decide what do I do with the numbers and where am I putting my journaling. So it's been fun to be creative in that respect. So excuse the photo here. I've had some major problems with my printer. I tried printing this out 2 or 3 times and it was not working. And I just decided I want to continue with this layout. I do not want to hold off any longer to wait for it to get printed, to send it out to get printed. Luckily, you'll see in the end that I was able to get it printed on my own. I don't know why I had problems. I hate that about printers sometimes. So anyways, what I've done is I've grabbed this little acetate element from the Liz Tamanaha, her kit from Ali Edwards. And look, you can see that I actually had it printed. And I put that down on the bottom and just added those letter stickers there. I like that as an option. And as you can see on the left-hand page, I also went ahead and I took a pen and I outlined that journaling. And I like that it made it feel grounded and not lost, just sitting there. And I also liked that it went with that little acetate element, that has the number 10 on it. So I thought that they both worked really well together. So I'm glad that I did that. So now I'm moving on to day 9 or story 9. And this is, when I first went through and worked on this, I just skipped 9 because it's all about homemade gifts. And I have a picture of my husband making a gift. And I have a picture of some of the gifts that I made this holiday season for people. And honestly, I'm not sure who in my family are watching my videos, so I didn't want to show the gifts here. So that's why I've covered up the photos. And it actually is making it a little bit challenging for me to work on because of the blue. And so right now I'm trying to figure out what element that I want to put just right there at the top of the journaling. And I struggled a bit because of the blue, it kept throwing me off. And what you'll see, I kind of thought to myself, I'm going to move on to something else. Like I need to take off the paper and then to decide. But ultimately, I really like those green stickers that Ali Edwards that she had in her kit. So I'm going through the stickers and I'm looking for one that might work for this spread. And it said spread cheer. And I love that because that's basically, to me, what homemade gifts are all about. It's definitely spreading cheer. I love homemade gifts. So that's what this story is about. And I love the fact that my husband had a little bit more time. Has had more time this holiday season to work on his own handmade gifts. So anyway, I thought that was a fun thing to add to this year's stories. So now I'm moving on to story 11. And this kind of came about because I knew that for day 12, I was going to do a collage because I do the 12 of 12, and I'll do that so you guys can see that coming up. So I knew that I wanted to put the journaling of the 12 of 12 onto something. And so that is kind of how I came up with my story 11 is I knew I had an idea of what I wanted to do for it. It's just some journaling about what my church is doing right now is they've got this kind of like an Advent where there's an activity, a day that you can do that's service related. And so that's basically what this journaling about. It's just about what my family's kind of been up to and ways that we've participated and things like that. So I didn't feel it necessary to have to put a photo with it. So I just thought the sentiment and the journaling was good enough for me. So I've been trying to decide what I wanted to do for the top portion of that journaling, and I'll definitely come back to that because I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. But in the meantime, I've pulled out my Big Shot and I'm working on the left-hand side of the page. And it's just going to be very plain and simple. But I really love these tall trees. This was a die set that I bought from Ellen Hudson last year. And I don't know what it's called. I'll put it in the description box below, but it's got houses and trees. And I know that there was a stamp set that went along with it as well. And I really liked it. But what I really liked about it was I loved the trees. I loved how graphic they were. And it also reminded me of a story that's all about these three trees and what they're, they wanted to do something important in their life and what they end up doing. And it was, it's all about Jesus. And I really love that holiday story, or I think it actually might be an Easter story, but I love it at the holidays as well. So that's kind of why I was thinking of those three trees. And I really just loved that it was very simple and graphic. And I chose the black because I had done the black with the deer prior. So I just thought it was a way of trying to keep the album a little bit, a cohesive nature to it. So now you can see that I'm still trying to debate about this card. And it's sad because I feel like I say this all the time, but ultimately the card that I end up going with, I do really like. But side by side with the 6x8 paper that I'm using has these really thin gray lines. I think it's the back of one of Liz Tamanaha's papers. And the green that I ultimately decide to go with is very similar. The lines are a little bit thicker, but it's very similar in that they are diagonal. So looking at it now, I feel like it's just a little too much diagonal. And I think that that's what I was having such a hard time with trying to pick out the paper is I have a lot of diagonal lines in this album, and I'm like, I think I need something different because there are a lot of papers with diagonal, and maybe that's a very Christmas thing because of candy canes. I don't know, but I kept leaning towards the stripes, and then I was like, no, I have too many stripes, so I want to go with something else. But ultimately, I go with this green, and you know what? I'm definitely leaving it for now. It might be something that I end up changing out based on the cards that I end up using. I might end up, needing using a card for another spread that maybe I would use there. So we'll just see how that goes. But for right now, I really like it. I think it's really subtle. I think it's really clean. But I thought it was just maybe just a little too plain. So we'll see if I end up coming up with something else. So the last thing that I'm going to do for this spread is I'm just going to add an Avery tab to it. And I love this stamp set by L.A. Edwards. I've used it multiple times, not just for the tabs, but for other things. There's just there's a lot of great sentiments, things that you could possibly use all year round. They're not all Christmassy, although you can definitely take them all Christmassy if you wanted. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that in black. And one of the things I wanted to tell you about this is the reason why I like to lay the stamps out flat when they're thin like that is because they tend to lay flat and straight on their own. So that's why I lay them straight first and then pick it up with the block. I don't know, that's a little trick. I can't remember if I probably learned that from some stamper in some YouTube channel. But anyways, it's worked for me to make those stamps straight. So anyways, you guys, that is the spread for days 9, 10, and 11. Those are the stories. So if you guys want to see more of my December daily, I will definitely have the other videos in the description below, but feel free to subscribe, and that way you will know when I upload all of my videos. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you next time. Bye.